everyone, it's Elizabeth at WeNeedaVacation.com, and I'm joined here today in our beautiful Wellesley offices, our main offices, with one of the owners of WeNeedaVacation.com, Joan Talmadge. How are you doing, Joan?
Just fine.
Yeah?
Beautiful day.
It's the end of June and we're all gearing up for our first, most of us, some people have already started, but for our first tenants coming, so we're a little anxious at this time of year. And this year we have a little added anxiety with this lodging tax. I thought I'd take a few minutes with Joan and discuss some of the details of the lodging tax and hopefully dispel some of your concerns and just help all of us figure out what we need to do and when and that kind of thing. Sound good? Joan, I think most people know about the lodging tax and the basics of it, but I thought if you could just run through the general basic concepts and when and where things are due and that kind of thing.
Sure. The lodging tax expands the short-term rental tax that previously applied to motels and hotels. So any short-term rental, home, condo, apartment that rents for 31 days or less is subject to this tax, and whoever collects the rent would be responsible for collecting the lodging tax. It begins on July 1st, so any lease that is signed for a period of time, a tenancy starting on July 1st or later, is subject to this tax, except if the lease was signed prior to January 1, because it did not apply. The tax was signed into law at the end of December and started on January 1. And basically, the tax includes the 5.7% state tax and up to 6% local tax, whatever a town has decided, and for the Cape, and not the islands at this point, but for the Cape towns, 2.75% wastewater tax. Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and Off Cape are not currently members of the wastewater fund, so that doesn't apply to them until or unless they decide to opt in. So that's basically it. A town can also add a 3%, they call it a community impact fee, if a homeowner owns more than one rental property in a given town. But so far, only the town of Plymouth has opted in for that impact tax.
Oh, goody. Only Plymouth. So far, as you say. Are there any exemptions, Joan?
If you rent for fewer than 14 days a year, you are exempt. So, for instance, if somebody has a timeshare, it's usually for a week, and they would be exempt, or their tenants would be exempt. And of course, after 31 days, if you rent your home for that period of time, it's exempt because it's no longer considered short-term. So those are really the only
one thing I thought I'd mention on the exemptions is if any of you currently, if you are exempt this year, if you rent for 1 week or 2 weeks or less, or just have a longer term over 31-day rental, just let us know, because I think all of you are aware that we do indicate on every listing in a couple of different places that state and local taxes of whatever your town is, X apply, 12.45 or 14, whatever it is apply. So if for any reason your home is exempt, just let us know and we can have that removed and mention on your listing that this property is exempt from the tax. What items are included in the tax, Joan? Is it just the rent?
It is the rent, and it is other items, other fees that are non-refundable, such as cleaning fees, linen fees, pet fees if you charge for pets, anything that is non-refundable, so that the security deposit would not be taxable because you refund it, hopefully.
Right.
Um,
Most of the time.
and the other thing that we just learned recently is that if you, let's say for instance you charge for linens and your renter goes directly through the company, the linen company, and pays a tax on their linens, they shouldn't be taxed a second time by you, the owner. Or if you, the owner, rent the linens through a company and you pay the tax on it, you should not be passing that tax on again to the renter. It's double taxation.
Right.
So that would be the only exemption.
Finally, we've all been waiting, we've all been wondering how to register and when to register and so forth, and we haven't been able to until July 1st, so we're now filming in the middle of June, but that's coming up soon. Can you give us some background about how and when we register?
Yeah. The registration begins on July 1st, so on that day, homeowners can go to MassTaxConnect, and that is that's the website that the Mass Department of Revenue has established for payment of the tax, and that's where hotel owners and motel owners have gone to, ever, all
I didn't
along.
realize that, it's been set up.
But they're adjusting it for short-term rental homes. So on that day, you can register and then not really do anything else until August 20th, and that's the date when the first payment is due to the state. And it would be one payment made by the homeowner. You would log on to your account and you would have to itemize the 5.7 to the state, and then the 4 or 6 or whatever your town local tax is, you'd have to itemize that, and the wastewater, and then just file it. You can pay either by credit card, but there's a convenience fee of 2.35% credit card fee, or you could just pay through your bank account or savings account.
Like an online banking,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So you
Electronic
do it
funds
all
transfer.
online. You make one payment, and you make no payment locally or to anyone else. It's just one payment to the state. They will keep their 5.7% tax, and then they would send the balance to the town.
I believe I know there are some tutorials that if you want to go, if you're watching this before July 1st and you want to get an idea. I think one of the things that confused me a little was what are we called? Operator?
We're called operators.
Operators.
Mm-hmm. So you would register as an operator.
As opposed to
a business.
A business, so like a realtor, is that a realtor?
Or maybe it's an intermediary.
Intermediary,
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So just when you're doing it, just realize, yes, that's what we're called, or operators.
Right.
And it didn't look too complicated.
No,
Really?
you just have to, figure out the percentage and do your math. But the one thing that, we've been in very close contact with the Department of Revenue since January 1. And we told them that the majority of our homeowners rent only in the summer. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to hotels, motels, which have to remit every month. And I said it just doesn't make sense for homeowners to have to go log on to their account every month, even in November, December, January, when we have nothing to remit. And so they came back and said, okay, well, we're going to orchestrate it so that you can declare these are the months during which I generally rent, maybe June, July, August, September. So only after those individual months will a homeowner have to go online and remit payment. And if, for instance, you didn't get any renters in June one year, you would just go in and put 0.
I mean, obviously this year, none of us were exempt in June, so you mean future years,
Yes,
if you
in
didn't
the
rent in
future,
June,
yes.
or if you didn't rent in July,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to pay obviously until August.
Right.
So in other words, up front,
Mm-hmm.
just so I understand you
Yep.
correctly, when we first register our homes,
Mm-hmm.
we convey to the Department of Revenue which months we're gonna be
Right.
accepting
Mm-hmm.
tax, or
Right.
accepting rents and
Right.
having to pay taxes.
Right.
And then we only have to file for each of those months
Yeah.
and nothing again until the
Yeah.
following year.
And another thing I might mention is that when you do go to remit payment, let's say on August 20th, you would remit payment for any tenants, on behalf of any tenants who you had during the month, who stayed in your home during the month of July,
Mhm.
including any that started in July but maybe went into August.
Good point.
So,
Good point. Kind of like the way this June 29th or 30th
Mhm.
week is exempt because it
Right.
actually starts in June, even though it's for the 4th of July week.
right.
So the week, that straddle week,
Mhm.
then, as long as they get there in July, that's when that tax should be remitted on August 20th.
Yeah.
When vacationers are paying us our rent as a homeowner,
A homeowner.
yes, sorry, as a
Mhm.
homeowner, when vacationers are paying us our rent, do they need to keep that tax as a separate check
No.
from the rent?
No, they could pay it. Most homeowners are collecting the tax when they collect the balance of payment, which is usually a month or more prior to tenancy. But they can pay it all at once in a check or PayPal or however they're paying it. And then it's just up to the homeowner to keep it all separate.
Yeah, I mean, a little plug for our booking management system and the free system that we have on our site, where it enables you to keep track of all these funds and when bookings and when payments are due or leases need to be sent out or keys be sent or anything. If you can keep track of, I've started doing that in the notes field, or there's another field to do it too, just how, especially this year when not every booking, some of my bookings were before January 1st, so it's nice just in that booking however you manage your bookings and keep track of them, just make sure you know whether fees are due and how much that tax is, so that when you go to report it
Right.
and pay it,
Right.
then you have it all in front of you.
Right.
Great, Joan. In closing, I think it's pretty safe to say, as you know, we've been answering the phone, a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails since this was rolled out around the new year. A lot of our homeowners are very anxious about this situation. It's been very disruptive so far. Our guess is that it probably will continue to be for some time. Do you have any general suggestions for us homeowners to kind of just allay some of our fears, or just make this whole process maybe a little easier, a little smoother?
Well, it's been difficult, and we've tried to keep our homeowners apprised of the situation since for years now. Actually, I think we've written more than 40 blog posts about the lodging tax. It's coming, it's not coming, it might come, it did come.
It did come, yeah.
The vacation rental industry has changed, that's clear, with, big box sites, and so along with that, the lodging tax was inevitable. We, I think, warded it off for quite a number of years, but we are the last state in New England to establish a short-term lodging tax for vacation rental homes. So we're not unique. I think more than 40 states now have impose a lodging tax. So vacationers will slowly get accustomed to the fact that unfortunately they will have to pay an extra fee, and sometimes it's sizable if you are paying a lot for a rental week. So I think it comes as a shock this year, because many people have come to the Cape as vacationers, Cape and Islands, for years, and they've not had to pay a tax. So to go from 0 to whatever it might be, up to almost 15% is a lot. But I think time will, with time, everybody will adjust, and we will find as many people crossing that bridge as ever before. I mean, the Cape and Islands are a very attractive vacation spot, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
I think it's in people's DNAs almost, isn't it? The people tell us all the time that they just getting back to the Cape and Islands. It's been part of, in most cases, many cases anyway, it's been part of their upbringing, their childhood. And as they get married and have kids, they just really want to repeat that experience with their family.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think too, vacationers will see that they will understand that, okay, I have to pay an extra tax. Maybe I'll scale down my rate so that my price cap in my search will be a little lower than it normally would be, knowing that I have to adjust it for the rent. I mean, for the tax.
Yeah, I think we've known all along it would be pretty disruptive for this first year particularly, and maybe even next year when there are fewer exemptions, we won't have all this get their leases signed by a certain date or something, but I agree with you. I think vacationers will continue to come back, and it's going to be disruptive. Just we get through this registration phase. As Joan mentioned, if you have any questions or as you go to that MassTaxConnect.com website to register anytime after July 1st. We do have our FAQs posted on our site, right in your homeowner centers. There's a link to our FAQs. At the end of our FAQs are links to the Department of Revenue, their FAQs, as well as that MassTaxConnect. Senator Sears' office has a link there if you'd like to send him any feedback about your thoughts. So that's about it, right?
We will keep you updated.
Yep, absolutely. Otherwise, have a great summer, everybody. Good luck.